Hi everyone, Sir Janus here and welcome to another episode of Einsteinatics TV. Today, we are going to put focus on Quarter 2, Module 6, which focuses on mole concept. So are you ready to learn? For today's topic, here are our objectives. Una is we are going to try to use the mole concept to express mass of substances. And of course, for the specific objectives that we would try to attain for today, relate the mole concept to Avogadro's number and also to apply the mole concept to represent particles and vice versa. So saan nga ba nagsimula yung pag-aaral about moles? As we all know, yung mga scientists ay kailangan nilang malaman kung gaano ba karaming particles meron ang isang substance. And as we all know, it is impossible to count the number of atoms and molecules because they are far too many and of course they are far too small. And so, instead of counting, so yung mga scientists ngayon came up with the relative masses of different atoms and molecules to measure how many are present in a given sample para mas mapadali yung kanilang pag-measure ng particles of a substance. So paano nga ba mini-measure ng mga scientists kung gaano karaming particles meron ng isang substance? So let us have carbon as an example. As we all know, carbon is meron siyang atomic mass na 12. So given the quantity of atoms in a 24 grams of pure graphite, so this can be calculated as yung 24 grams divided by the atomic mass of the atom is equals to 2. Now, another example is that one magnesium atom, as we all know, has a mass of 24. The quantity of atoms in a 24 grams of pure magnesium can be calculated as 24 divided by 24 is equals to 1. So ano bang meaning nitong 2 at saka ng 1? So yung 24 grams of carbon contains twice as many atoms as 24 grams of magnesium. Because as we all know, yung magnesium atoms is twice as heavy or mas mabigat siya. At ito nga yung 2 at saka yung 1, ito na ngayon yung tinatawag nating mole. Now, let us talk more about mole. Ano nga ba yung mole? As we all know, yung mole, it can refer to an animal. And of course, yung mole, it can also refer to a part of a body which is yung nunal. Now, in chemistry, yung mole is ginagamit to describe kung gaano karaming atoms or molecules yung isang substance or kung gaano karaming atoms or molecules ng isang substance yung present sa isang sample. So, yung 1 mole of a substance is equivalent siya or equal siya dun sa kanyang atomic mass or it is expressed in grams. Now, for example, yung atomic mass of carbon is 12. So, ibig sabihin that 1 mole of carbon weighs 12 grams. Now, kanina, doon sa binigay nating example, which is yung graphite, na merong formula na C2. So, ibig sabihin, it contains dalawang carbon atom. So, meaning, yung kanyang atomic mass which is have 24 grams. Meaning, it contains 2 moles of carbon atoms. So, you might be wondering, gaano ba karaming particle meron sa isang mole ng atom? Now, scientists have calculated that for any mole of a substance, it contains 6.02 times 10 raised to 23 particles. So, ganun karami. So, ano ba yung ibig sabihin nito? So, ibig sabihin nito na yung 1 mole of carbon na merong bigat na 12 grams, so yung 12 grams ng carbon atoms contains 6.02 times 10 raised to 23 carbon atoms. Another example, yung 1 mole naman of sodium which weighs 23 grams contains the same number of particles. Another example, yung 1 mole of water which has a weight or atomic mass of 18 grams also contains the same amount of molecules or particles. Now, how about if how many carbon atoms are there in 6 grams of carbon? Do you know the answer? Kung yung 6 gram, meron siyang 6.02 times 10 raised to 23, how about yung 6 grams? Okay, so yung correct answer nito is 3.01 times 10 raised to 23 because yung 12 grams contains 6.02. So the half of this one is yung 3.01. So tama ba yung sagot mo? So congratulations. We already know that the number 6.02 times 10 raised to 23 is a measurement kung gaano karaming particles meron sa isang moles. Now, another term na ginagamit to describe the 6.02 times 10 raised to 23 is, it is also known as the Avogadro's number. So bakit nga ba siya tinawag na Avogadro's number? So actually, it is named before Amedeo Avogadro, wherein he is an Italian scientist working in the early 19th century. So as you all know that the 6.02 times 10 raised to 23 is sobrang laking number. So, just imagine kung i-collect mo yung 6.02 times 10 raised to 23 na ganong karaming mga marbles or yung mga hollens, and you are going to spread them over the surface of the earth, then they would form, just imagine, marbles 50 miles thick. So, ganon karami yung number na yun. This time, let us proceed to calculating problems involving moles. Now, so the number of moles in a sample is calculated using this equation. So madali lang. So paano mo ba i-compute yung moles? So yung number of moles, yung is equals to yung mass of substance, i-divide mo lang sa kanyang molar mass. So here are pointers or important reminders na dapat mong tandaan. So yung una, yung mass of substance is measured in grams. So yun yung unit of measurement na gagamitin natin. Kalawa naman, some elements exist as molecules. So for example, oxide or O2. So ibig sabihin, you are going to use the molecular mass rather than atomic mass. So for compounds, the molar mass is the sum of the relative atomic masses of all the atoms of the formula. So ibig sabihin, pag more than 2 elements na in a compound, so ibig sabihin kukunin mo yung kanilang mga masses and then you are going to add them all up para makuha mo yung kanyang molecular mass. So let us have this as an example. So how many moles of iron are there in 28 grams of pure iron? As we all know, iron has a symbol of Fe. So the number of moles is equals to yung 28, which is the mass of the given substance. Tapos yung 56 naman, that is the atomic mass of iron. So you are just going to divide them. Then the correct answer is 0.5 moles of iron. Let's have another example. So how many moles of carbon dioxide are there in 11 grams of carbon dioxide? So for this one, kailangan mong kunin yung mga individual atomic mass ng mga elements that are involved or kabilang doon sa compound. So as we all know that yung carbon meron siyang atomic mass na 12. And then since merong dalawang oxygen which has the atomic mass of 16, and you are going to add them all up para makuha mo yung kanyang molecular mass. Now, once you get the molecular mass, then that's the only time that you are going to divide. So the number of moles is equals to 11 divided by 44. So for the moles of 11 grams of carbon dioxide has 0.25 moles of carbon dioxide. So let us have another example. How about you are going to calculate yung molar mass, yung number of moles, at saka yung number of particles present in 50 grams of iron oxide. So Fe2O3, or this is also known as rust or yung kalawang. Now, picture this out. Imagine ninyo, sa isang mole ng Fe2O3, meron siyang 2 mole ng iron atoms at meron siyang 3 mole of oxygen atoms. Ibig sabihin, merong 2 iron and then merong 2 oxygen atoms. Now, paano i-compute yung kanyang molar mass? So, we all know that we are going to identify the individual atomic mass of those elements involved in the compound. So, the atomic mass of iron, so since meron siyang dalawa, so 2 times the atomic mass of iron, which is 55.85, equals to 111.7 gram per mole. Now, on the other hand naman, yung atomic mass of oxygen, since meron tayo dito ngayong tatlo na oxygen, so yung 3 times 16, itong 16, remember that this is the atomic mass of oxygen. So, tingnan nyo or refer to your periodic table. So, the answer is 48 gram per mole. Now, after identifying their atomic mass, then you are going to add them up para makuha mo yung molar mass. So, 111.7 gram per mole plus 48 gram per mole coming from the O3 or yung tatlong atom ng oxygen. So, the correct answer would be 159.7 gram per mole, which is now the molar mass of iron oxide or yung kalawang. Now, let's proceed to the computation for the number of moles. So, we are going to still use the same example, wherein we are going to use the 50 grams of iron oxide. Okay, so how are we going to do it? We already identified, na-compute na natin kanina, yung molecular mass ng iron oxide. Now, wherein we have got the result of 159.7 grams. So, we are going to use now this value. So, in order for us to solve for the number of moles, we are going to construct the appropriate or tamang conversion factor. So, yung 50 grams of iron oxide, we are going to multiply it by the number of mole of iron oxide divided by the molecular mass of Fa2O3. So, we are going to cancel out the same unit, yung magkaparehong unit. So, cancel out natin yung gram Fa2O2. So, meaning matitira na lang yung mole of iron oxide. So, multiply this one, the 50 by 1, so the result would be 50 mole of iron oxide. Now, you are now going to divide the 50 mole of iron oxide by 159.7. So, the result would be 0.313 mole of iron oxide. This time, we are going to try to identify the number of particles o yung pagkuha ng Avogadro's number. So, paano ba natin gagawin yan? So, madali lang. So, first thing that we are going to do is we are going to convert from moles of atoms to the number of atoms using yung equivalence statement. Now, alam natin na for every 6.022 times 10 raised to 23 iron oxide atoms, it is equal to 1 mole of iron oxide atoms. Now, using this one, so yung nakuha nating number kanina, yung number of moles present in iron oxide, which is 0.313 mole of iron oxide times the number of moles and the Avogadro's number. So, 6.022 times 10 raised to 23 iron oxide atoms divided by 1 mole of iron oxide atoms. So, we are going to cancel out yung same unit. So, yung matitira na lang yung Avogadro's number, which is the 10 raised to 23 iron oxide atoms. Now, so 0.313 times 6.022. So, the answer would be 1.88 times 10 raised to 23 iron oxide atoms. So, this would be now the correct answer in finding out the number of particles present in 50 grams of iron oxide or yung rust. This time, let us try to find out how much you have learned by trying out these challenges. So, are you ready? For your first challenge, you are going to fill in the table. So, as you can see, the first one is given as an example, yung NaCl or yung sodium chloride or commonly known as table salt or yung asin na ginagamit natin. Now, For the element, identify mo yung mga representative elements. Ano ba yung elements na makikita doon sa compound na yan? So in this case, meron siyang sodium at saka yung chlorine. Identify, dito naman sa number of atoms, identify kung gaano karaming atoms meron or present in the compound. So since isa lang dito, so you are going to write 1, nag-iisa lang yung sodium, and nag-iisa lang din yung chlorine. Then identify yung kanyang atomic mass. So yung sodium, meron siyang atomic mass na 23, at saka yung chlorine naman, meron siyang atomic mass na 35.45. Now, to identify kung gaano karaming molar mass dun sa isang compound, then all you have to do is you are just going to add the value of this one para makuha mo itong molar mass. So, did you get it? Okay. So, try to identify the correct responses or try to fill in the correct responses on the table with the following or given samples. You have hydrogen peroxide, H2O2, baking soda, lime, at saka yung lime. So, while answering, you may pause the video and you're just going to press play para malaman mo kung tama ba yung sagot mo. Okay? So, good luck. So, here are the correct responses. So, nakuha mo ba lahat? Perfect ba? So, if so, congratulations. Kung marami ka namang mali, you may try to do it again or review your answer so that you will do much better next time. Now, for the next challenge, so ganun pa rin yung gagawin mo. You are going to fill in the correct information missing on the table. So, yung first column, andyan yung mga given substances. For the second column, you are going to try to determine its molar mass. As you all know, kailangan mong kunin yung individual atomic mass or atomic weight ng bawat element na nandun sa compound. So, dito naman sa representative particle, you are just going to identify kung yung given example ba is atom or molecule. Then identify its mass, which is expressed in grams. You are also going to identify kung gaanong karaming moles ba yung makikita doon sa isang substance, and of course, yung number of particles. So we have the following examples. You have carbon dioxide, yung gold, yung calcium fluoride, and nitrogen gas. So gamitin mo yung mga given para makuha mo yung mga correct responses. So here are the correct responses. As we all know, kanina, it is already given yung 44.01. And as we all know, since it contains more than one atom, so it is already considered as a molecule. Now, paano ba nakuha itong mass? All you have to do is you are just going to multiply the molar mass by the number of moles para makuha mo itong kanyang mass. So, yung 44.01 times 2.5, makukuha mo itong 110.03. Now, paano naman makukuha itong number of particles? So, madali lang. So, itong 2.5, you are just going to multiply it by 6 yung kanina, yung sa Avogadro's number, 6.02 times 10 raised to 23. So, if you are going to multiply 2.5 by the 6.02 times 10 raised to 23, so you are going to come up with this answer. Now, let us proceed with the next one. Yung gold, meron siyang molar mass na 197. Now, since nag-iisa lang siya, so it is an atom. So, yung mass rin niya is 197. Number of moles is also 1. So, as we all know that for every mole of any substance, it has always the value or number of particles which has 6.02 times 10 raised to 23. Now, in terms naman sa calcium fluoride, yung molar mass niya is 78.08. Molecule niya, it is a molecule kasi it contains more than one atom. So you have also the mass which is 234.24. So paano ba nakuha yung kanyang number of moles? So ito, yung mass, you are just going to divide it by 78.08. 6.08. So makukuha mo yan yung kanyang number of moles. So itong 3 naman, multiply it again by 6.02 times 10 raised to 23. So makukuha mo ito. Now, for nitrogen gas, as we all know, since it contains dalawang atom ng nitrogen, so yung kanyang molar mass is 28.02. So molecule siya. Then, of course, yung kanyang mass, 140.10. So, sana kuha ito, multiply lang to by the number of moles. 28.02 times 5, ito yung tamang sagot. Tapos itong 5 naman, multiply by 6.02 times 10 raised to 23, this is correct answer. So, tama ba lahat yung sagot mo? So, congratulations! So, ngayon naman, you are going to try to complete the following concept map using the appropriate terms. So, ano ba yung mga pwede mong gamiting terms para buuhin yung ating concept map? So, andyan yung ions, Avogadro's number, yung moles, yung atoms, molecules, particles, mass, compound, gram per mole, or molar mass, and of course, yung elements. So, gaya kanina, you may pause the video while answering and just press play para malaman mo yung tamang sagot. So, here are now the correct responses. As we all know that matter is made up of particles, which may be atoms, ions, and molecules, and whose amount may be expressed in terms of mole. Yung mole naman, whose mass is expressed in gram per mole, and as we all know, it is equal to the Avogadro's number. So that's it for today's video. I hope you have learned and have fun. Don't forget to click like, subscribe, and ring the bell for you to be updated for my next videos. So, Systematics out!